Hey y'all, Ben here. Today I'm inking some of this Beorn page and I'm talking about my inability to see pictures in my head and how that affects me as an artist. Also ramble later about wanting to do Beorn as a black and white web comic, so let's get into it.
Alright, gonna see how this goes today. Have nothing planned. I'm honestly thinking I will just do a time lapse with this recording, but I wanted to go ahead and record some audio anyway. Wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, but something interesting has come up that I need to look into more. So honestly, I don't know exactly. Oh gosh, this first line is always what to draw. Yeah, I should have looked this up before I started talking about it because I'm not even positive what it's called. I don't remember. In conversation, it came up that I have whatever the thing is called where I don't see pictures in my head. I didn't know this was a thing that was a thing. And it's been pretty funny to think about how it applies in my life to some of the things that I do. And I was thinking about it for meditation and qigong. For anyone who doesn't know, I actually do kung fu and tai chi. I do a lot of meditation and qigong over the years. Anyway, so that's a lot of visualization, one would say. A lot of internal turning inwardly, right? And I think it has been a great strength for me that I don't see anything. I don't see a picture. I don't see parts of my body. I don't actually see anything. I was trying to explain it to Audie. It's like I don't know, like a feeling, not like a somatic feeling, of course, like an actual physical feeling. But I get a feeling, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. There's no visual. And as I was talking about this, I was talking with a friend of mine about it. He just sort of stopped dead and was like, "Wait, how do you draw?" And when he said that, so many things became clear. I have the hardest time with layouts, with certain aspects of the drawing process, and I've always felt bad because sometimes I sit down to draw a thing and I have no idea how to frame the shot. I have an idea of the feeling. I know what I'm trying to convey, and I just always kind of figured like, well, I'll get better at it. I don't have the tools yet. I don't have the knowledge to immediately know, oh, this is how you would frame this upward shot for a more dramatic scene, focusing on this, right? And I might know the rules. I might know, not the rules, but I might be able to conjure a concept of, whatever it is. I can't think of anything right now. Of, well, giving, a strong upward angle would increase the dramatic tension on that shot, right? Whatever it is. And I might know that. But when it comes to actually framing the shot, I'm often at a loss. And I'll know I'll have an idea in my head of, oh, they use that shot a lot in Asterix. Let me go check some reference on how to lay a shot like that out. And I'll go do that, and then I have something kind of to work from. Sort of, I have a framework in my mind. And I always, I beat myself up about that because it's something to wrestle with, I think. Something to figure out. At what point is it reference versus, you just stole that shot. And it's a tough thing for me. I think because I'm bad at it, that it feels like an aspect of, I don't know if plagiarism is the right word, because it's not. I don't think it's quite that, but it's a thing lacking skill set, and you had to turn outward. So are you really a good enough artist? I don't know. That's how it feels. That's what I wrestle with, right? And as this came up, it made sense of that lack for myself, where I just can't. I can't see it in my head. It's such a bummer. And I honestly got not upset, not actually upset, but we were laughing, and I was like, "Are you telling me that other people, that artists just see things in their head? Like you just have access to that shot, whatever it is?" And yeah, so it's funny. It's liberating too, right? Because it's like that's not changing. I'm not going to develop that ability, and so now it's okay. Now I don't have to feel like I'm lacking anything as far as well, you should be able to do that thing, right? How many times have I heard someone talking to me and they see the pictures, they see something that I drew, and they give you a wonderful compliment, and they're like, I can't get the pictures in my head on the paper, right? And people would say that, and I would, I'd agree, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I hear you, not knowing that we weren't saying the same thing, right? That they had actual pictures in their idea, and I understand, talking to people about it, that to varying degrees, some people see very vivid pictures, and some people it's a hazy sort of thing. It's not detailed, that kind of deal. But having anything, man, I would love just a silhouette to frame a shot. Anyway, so whenever people would say that, I have now realized, like, oh, we are not saying the same thing here, guys. So anyway, that has been something very interesting that came up for me lately. I don't know what else to say about it. I'd certainly like to hear y'all's thoughts on it. It's pretty cool though to recognize how it has been a boon in one aspect of my life that's very important. My internal work is it is incredibly important to me. Beyond important. Like the words aren't even there. It is part of who I am. And art, even though I've come to it later in life, certainly compared to how long I've been doing martial arts and meditation, I feel like it is, I don't want to quantify things and compare my children essentially, but it feels as though it is just as important to my life. How I tell stories, visually bringing things to life, is incredibly important to me. So it's really neat to see how this thing I've learned about myself has been a huge benefit in one regard. I truly believe that the success that I've had with internal training directly has to do with that. Something about how my brain is set up to process or imagine, or to use the word visualize, like how that works. I think has been a serious boon. But then thinking about art and what a hindrance I think it is. And if I spend some time, maybe there are some benefits to it, right? I'm not bogged down. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I think it would be pretty great to be able to see my pictures in my head before drawing them. Even just an idea. Right? So that's been something pretty cool that's come up lately. I think it's part of why I would have people, when I started sharing Beorn, folks would say like, "Oh man, I can't, I really want to see this animated," or they would say like, "Oh, I can see this as a cartoon." And part of me has always sort of like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," and it's not a big deal to me. And I always kind of felt like, and I still do think this is a big part of it, that to me, I imagine it as a comic, right? It is a comic. And so I want to see that. But now I wonder, is part of it because I can't see it? I don't see it animated in my head? Like I need to draw it to see it brought to life? I don't know. It's also very cool to think about. I'm so compelled to visually tell this story. It's so funny. It's like it's not good enough for me to just write it. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about whatever projects they're working on. I also, it ties into this thing that I've said multiple times to people where, and I know that a lot of people feel this way whenever they're writing or they're drawing or they're creating their stories. And so I know it's not unique to this, but I think it strengthens this for me about how I constantly feel like when I create something that I'm getting a glimpse into a world that I didn't actually do it, and that it is arising from somewhere else. And I wonder if the lack of seeing it in my head beforehand is part of that. Anyway, some interesting things of my own brain work there. And I'm not sure what else to say about it, so then I gotta figure out what else to talk about the whole time I'm doing this. What have I been thinking about lately? Well, I've been thinking a lot about doing Beorn as a black and white webcomic. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull the trigger on that. Actually very excited about that, in fact. Some of my favorite comics were the newspaper strips. I think that's a whole interesting area of conversation. I'm interested to see how that's gonna change about younger people. Is it a younger people thing? Some people don't like black and white comics, but if you grew up with the newspaper comics, are you more okay with it? Do you enjoy it more? I just think that would be an interesting thing to figure out. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Probably not. I'll probably have to go erase that. Sorry, hopefully the audio will sync up with what I'm recording and you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I'm excited to do Beorn as a webcomic. I'm excited. It's gonna time pretty well that as I finish up chapter 4 here, which, so close. Getting so close. I plan to just roll straight into chapter 5, and I'm still figuring out exactly how I'm going to do this. That a lot of it will be based around my Patreon, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to give like exclusive access through Patreon, or if it'll be, what a lot of people do with like the early access. And so, patrons might get it like a week early, or I might just keep posting it there and keep it a web or a Patreon thing. And it's so tough because, I want as many people as possible to read my comic. That's, part of what I was talking about. It is that compulsion to share it. But then it's like, well, that's kind of the modern model, right? Is for your Patreon, if you're trying to make money through a webcomic, is that exclusivity of the whole thing. And so on the one hand, I want to just share it. I want to just say, hey, everybody, here's the stuff. If you like it and want to support me, please go hit up my Patreon. But on the other hand, I want to make it exclusive, and hopefully that exclusivity will help build support. So I don't exactly know. Thanks for listening to me hash it out loud there. I feel no closer to the decision, but those are some of the things I'm thinking about. Yeah, what to do and what to do, man. How to make those decisions. It feels like you have to really just like lock down your decisions so early if you're long term. And I know you can pivot and you can change what you're doing, but I like to kind of have things at least planned for a while. Not have to change things up on my patrons. Anyway, the webcomic is something that I'm very excited about. And I'm looking forward to that, especially because I get to roll into it pretty quick. I'm going to finish these Beorn inks for chapter 4 next week or so. I'd wanted to have it done this weekend, but we got hit with an ice storm, and power went out and all that stuff. Is the negative of working digitally, I guess. I was also supposed to travel, and so I was planning for travel. I was finishing some commissions, and the travel just totally got derailed because we had bad weather here, and then up in New York where I was going, I was going to teach a seminar actually, and that got canceled because they got slammed with bad weather too. And so I would have gotten stuck in Newark. I did get stuck in Newark, but just for the day, and had to basically catch an immediate flight back. And so anyway, that got derailed because of that. And, what I was saying? Oh yeah. So anyway, so I wanted to be done this week. I mean, I wanted to. Otis Frampton posted something a little bit ago where someone was asking about advice for artists. His thing was double the time you think something would take, right? And I had basically just realized that even though I scheduled with my Kickstarter that I made sure to account for things, slowing me down and whatnot, I just could not account for becoming a stay-at-home dad. I knew it was coming, but just how much, of course, that really does slow things down. And I wouldn't change it. I mean, I actually wish I could spend more time with her right now. She's watching some Sesame Street while Daddy does this. We just played some games. And, I can hear it whenever I say, "Hey kiddo, Daddy needs to go finish this." And she says, "We'll play again later." I'm like, "Yeah, man, we'll play again later." Anyway, goodness gracious. So that slowed everything down, and to Otis, what Otis had said, I had realized I was pretty much right at the 2-year mark. It had taken me double, essentially, double what I had planned on it taking. And it was just kind of funny to have had that recognition right after he had posted that. So I'll be finished inking in the next couple weeks, hopefully. I want it to be this weekend, but that's not likely. Not after the delays this week, or this last week. And then across that, I'm also finishing up my commission list. I'm almost done. Well, I'm getting there. I'll be done by the end of the month. And while I'm finishing those up, I'm actually pretty much just going to roll straight into Beorn Chapter 5. So I'm very excited about that. I think I'm going to leave this at that panel, and we will have been a conversation about my lack of vision, my internal blackness, and whatever else I just talked about there. Finishing up Beorn webcomic. I'm excited. I'll have to put some thoughts together about that so I can actually have a talk about that. Anyway, all right, man. Thanks so much, y'all. I appreciate it, and I'll see y'all soon.
All right, thanks so much, y'all. Really appreciate you stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the art. Hope you enjoyed the talk. Yeah, I had no idea. I should know. My degree is in human development, and I probably just forgot because I'm rather forgetful. But what do you think? You think it's a hindrance? Do you think it's a help to not already have the image in your head? Personally, I think it's a big hindrance because it would be great to have reference images in my head of how to draw the things. I don't even see my own characters in my head, man. That's rough. All right. Thanks so much, guys. I will see y'all next time. Appreciate it.